Recording in progress.
PC recording underway.
Okay, folks, we're about to start the digital portion. Please take your seats, please. The digital portion is going live. Take your seats.
Good afternoon and welcome to today's hybrid stated meeting. We ask that council members and staff please turn on their video for verification purposes. Thank you for your cooperation. We're ready to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please place all electronic devices to vibrate. Mr. Majority Leader.
Good afternoon and welcome to the stated meeting of February 24th, 2022. I am Majority Leader Keith Powers. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today. If you'd like to follow along, the agenda for today's meeting is posted on the City Council website.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Abreu.
Present.
Ariola.
Present.
Aviles.
Presente. What's going on?
Ayala.
Present.
Barron.
Here.
Botcher.
Present.
Brewer.
Here.
Brannan.
Here.
Brooks Powers.
Here.
Caban.
Present.
Carr.
Present.
De La Rosa.
Present.
Dinowitz.
Present.
Farias.
Present.
Felice.
Presente.
Gennaro.
Here.
Gutierrez.
Present.
Hanif. Hanks.
Present.
Holden.
Here.
Hudson.
Present.
Joseph.
Present.
Kagan. Krishnan.
Here.
Lee. Thank you. Lee.
Present.
Lewis.
Present.
Marte.
Here.
Mealy.
Present.
Menon.
Present.
Moya.
Present.
Narcisse.
Présent.
Nurse. Osei.
Present.
Palladino.
Present.
Wrestler.
Here.
Richardson Jordan.
Here.
Riley.
Present.
Rivera.
Present.
Salamanca.
Present.
Sanchez.
Present.
Shulman.
Present.
Stevens.
Present.
Ung.
Present.
Velasquez. Vernikoff. Williams.
Present.
Juan.
Present.
Yeager.
Here.
Borelli. Powers.
Present.
Speaker Adams.
I'm present.
Thank you. We'll now have today's invocation, which will be delivered by Bishop Roderick Roberts, Sr., the spiritual leader at Ramah Christian Center Incorporated, which is located at 3360 Fish Avenue in the Bronx.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just an honor to be here. Father, we're thankful to you for your grace, for your mercy. We thank you for this city government. We thank you for our national government, all elected officials represented here today. Your word said, except you build a house, we labor in vain that build it. Except you keep the city, the watchman waiteth but in vain. So we lift up every representative here this afternoon, and we pray for great grace and wisdom to conduct the affairs of this city. We pray for our educational sector, our law enforcement officials, our local municipalities, those in our medical field, our essential workers, those in housing. We pray, oh God, for strategies to combat crime, sickness, and mental illness in our city. Pray for the healing of families, for we understand that families create cities, cities create states, and states create nations. Pray for healing amongst our families, healing in our city and in our nation. Pray for healing among ethnic, Lord God, clashes and diversity. We pray for healing amongst political parties and political lines. We pray for great grace as we conduct the affairs of the business of this city, and for wisdom and strategy to lead the people of New York City. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Roberts, and welcome to City Council. And now ask City Councilmember Kevin Riley to spread the invocation on the record.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Bishop Roberts' leadership extends his founding church, Ramaha Christian Center, and reaches throughout the community in the 12th District. Also serving as the Continental Bishop for the Jabula New Life Ministries, North America and Caribbean Delegation, as well as the second Vice President for the 47 Precinct Clergy Coalition in my district. Bishop Roberts' leadership calls to uplift and strengthen the community by building relationships with all stakeholders. I would like to thank Bishop Roderick S. Roberts for being here today, and I make a motion for a unanimous consent to spread the invocation in full upon the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley. We now have the adoption of minutes by Councilmember Eric Botcher.
Motion to adopt the minutes?
Of the stated meeting of February 10th, 2022 be adopted as printed. Hold on one second.
I make a motion that the minutes of the stated meeting of February 10th, 2022 be adopted as printed.
Thank you, Councilmember Botcher. Messages and papers from the mayor.
M21 through M26, various budget documents.
Finance.
M27, city debt and reserves.
Received, ordered, printed, and filed.
Communications from city, county, and borough offices.
None.
Petitions and communications.
M28, intro 9.
Withdrawn, filed.
Land use call-ups.
M29 through M31.
Coupled on call-up vote, I would now ask that the clerk take a roll call vote on all of today's land use call-ups.
Abreu.
Aye on all.
Ariola.
Aye on all.
Aviles.
Aye on all.
Ayala.
Aye on all.
Barron.
Just want to get some clarity. Are these on the land use items that are going before us
these are
today?
Land
These
use
are
call-ups,
just
council
call-ups.
member.
Just the call-ups?
Yes.
Aye on all.
Thank you. Botcher.
Aye on all.
Brennan.
Aye.
Brewer.
Aye on all.
Brooks Powers.
Aye on all.
Caban.
I vote aye on all except for land use item 0001, in which I abstain. Thank you.
Councilmember Caban, we're only voting on land use call-ups at the moment.
Thank you. Aye on all.
Thank you. Carr.
Aye on all.
De La Rosa.
Aye on all.
Dinowitz.
Aye on all.
Farias.
Aye on all.
Feliz.
Aye on all.
Gennaro.
Aye.
Gutierrez.
Aye on all.
Hanif. Hanks.
Aye on all.
Holden.
Aye.
Hudson.
Aye on all.
Joseph.
Aye on all.
Kagan. Krishnan.
Aye on all.
Lee.
Aye on all.
Lewis.
I make a motion for all unanimous consent to vote on all land use call-ups and all items coupled on general orders calendar.
Any objections? Okay, motion is granted. How do you vote, Councilmember?
Vote aye on all.
Thank you. Marte.
Aye on all.
Mealy. Menon.
Aye on all.
Moya.
Aye on all.
Narcisse.
Aye on all.
Nurse.
Aye on all.
Osei.
Aye on all.
Palladino.
Aye on all.
Restler.
Aye.
Richardson Jordan.
Aye on all.
Riley.
I don't know.
Rivera.
Aye.
Salamanca.
Aye on all.
Sanchez.
Aye on all.
Schulman.
Aye on all.
Stevens.
Aye on all.
Ung.
Aye on all.
Velasquez.
Aye on all.
Vernikov. Williams.
Aye on all.
Juan.
Aye on all.
Yeager.
Aye.
Councilmember Hanif. Councilmember Mealy. Borelli. Powers.
I vote aye.
Speaker Adams.
I vote aye.
Today's land use call-ups are adopted by a vote of 48 in the affirmative and 0 in the negative. We will now have communication from Speaker Adrian Adams.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. As always, I want to remind all members that masks are required to be worn throughout the meeting, even when we're speaking. I'm going to start today by acknowledging some concerning news that we all found out this morning. Russia invaded Ukraine, a nation of more than 44 million people. This has already led to death and destruction in Ukraine, and my heart goes out to the Ukrainian people and all Ukrainian communities throughout our city, from Manhattan's Little Ukraine to Brighton Beach in Brooklyn. We are home to more than 150,000 Ukrainians, one of the largest, if not the largest, Ukrainian communities in the entire nation. This avoidable violence is heartbreaking, and we stand in solidarity with our Ukrainian neighbors. Next, I want to offer some remarks on issues that have arisen lately related to some mayoral appointments that I know have unsettled some of our members and New Yorkers. As leaders, it is important that we ensure our staff appointments are reflective of the city and positioned to best advance the work of our city government on behalf of all New Yorkers, especially marginalized and underserved communities. It is also important that we be mindful about the messages that our actions send about the priority city government places on certain New Yorkers and the issues that affect them. We are here to advance and support all New Yorkers and address the issues that affect their health, safety, and well-being. I'm a supporter and ally of our LGBTQ community, and I'm an advocate for the right and access to safe reproductive health care. In fact, I worked at a women's health clinic that provided reproductive health care when I was a Spelman College student. My team and I have let the mayor's office know our feelings on the importance of this and our concerns about the role appointments have in this regard. Appointees come with a history and a track record, and it's fair for people to voice their concerns and questions about them based on that. I believe in the ability for people to change, grow, and address the past harm that their actions or words have caused. That has to be followed by a demonstrated change in actions and behavior. At the end of the day, the mayor has the authority to appoint staff that serve at his pleasure, and that means it's for him to answer New Yorkers' questions on his appointees and to ensure they're accountable to the duty and expectation to serve all New Yorkers. It will be our role as a council to conduct oversight of how city agencies and government are serving all New Yorkers, regardless of whether we approve or disapprove of any appointees. That's a responsibility that I take very seriously, and I know that all of my colleagues do as well. And I want to make clear that I stand with our council members in solidarity for the rights of all LGBTQ New Yorkers and for the constitutional freedoms of women to make their own reproductive health choices. Next week, we begin the month of March, which marks the start of our hearings to analyze the mayor's preliminary budget. As we look forward to a post-pandemic recovery, the council will work tirelessly to ensure we pass a budget that is laser-focused on promoting equity and safety for all New Yorkers. Our Committee on Finance will kick off the first preliminary budget hearing on Wednesday, March 2nd, and the Committee on Environmental Protection will close the hearings on Friday, March 25th. In total, we currently have scheduled 29 hearings to examine the proposals in the preliminary budget for fiscal year 2023. As we start the budget process, we know that COVID continues to impact our city. It has been almost 2 years since New York City confirmed its first coronavirus case on March 1st, 2020. In our recovery, we must focus on initiatives that strengthen the health and well-being of New Yorkers. The mayor's budget is a starting point. Through the council's advocacy, we have baselined funding for initiatives like Fair Fares, a critical program that provides half-priced Metro cards for low-income New Yorkers. That is a floor, not a ceiling. The council fought hard for this funding, and we now need to ensure we reach all New Yorkers who need it, something we'll be working closely together on moving forward. In this budget process, the council will prioritize investments in our children and families, workforce development, mental health, community safety, healthcare equity, education, and much more. This is a critical budget for our city. New York City is on a path to recovery, and as we get closer to a post-pandemic world, our city will emerge stronger than ever. Bringing it in-house, we have some sad news in the council family. Recently, we lost Ann Holden, the mother of our friend and colleague, Councilmember Robert Holden. I want to send my condolences once again to Councilmember Holden, his family, and his friends. We are also mourning the death of firefighter Jesse Gerhard, a brave public servant who responded to a 2-alarm fire in a 3-story home in Far Rockaway and worked extensively inside and outside the burning building, looking to rescue victims. A day after the fire, he suffered a medical episode inside his firehouse, ladder 134 in Far Rockaway. He was 33 years old. Let us now pause for a moment of silence to honor all New Yorkers we have lost. Thank you. On February 28th, we will mark the annual Hindu festival of Maha Shivaratri, also known as the Great Night of Shiva, one of the most important festivals in Hinduism. Hindus throughout our city will gather to remember Shiva with prayers, fasting, and meditation. And on March 2nd, Christians will be observing Ash Wednesday, which marks the start of Lent, a time for fasting and penance. We also want to take a few moments at this time to acknowledge some staff departures. This is the last stated day for our friend and dedicated Chief of Staff to the Speaker, Jason Goldman. Jason, we salute you for over 4 years of dedicated service, commitment, and genuine love that you have for this institution. Your work is not in vain. This council will continue the good work because of the foundation that you leave us. Let's give Jason a round of applause. Thank you, Jason. Well done, and thank you, Jason. Next, Terza Nesser, our first Deputy Director for the Infrastructure Division, is retiring from the City Council after almost 3 decades of service. Terza began as a counsel to our Parks and Housing and Buildings Committees before being promoted to a supervisory role where she has served with distinction. Terza was instrumental in the development of the construction code revision process that we use today to keep our city and its buildings safe, and has overseen the drafting and development of countless local laws. Just as importantly, she has served as a mentor and guide to generations of central staff, attorneys, and analysts. Her wisdom and spirit will continue to influence this body through them. We wish Terza well, and we thank her for her stellar service to the City Council. Let's give Terza a round of applause. I also want to acknowledge that Junan Zilka, co-counsel to our Housing and Buildings Committee, will be departing from the council as well, after over 3 years of service. During her time here, she has played an important role in legislation on topics including the electrification of city buildings, the installation of bird-friendly glass, preventing the displacement of tenants, and the nearly 3,000-page building code revision bill passed last year. Jinan will not be going far. She will be joining the law department, where we wish her continued success. Let's give her a round of applause. And last but certainly not least, I want to acknowledge that Regina Orion is leaving the council after more than 25 years here. Regina began at the council working on the Public Safety Committee, where her work was instrumental as she helped launch the Alternative to Incarceration initiative, funded by the council in 1996. In the Finance Division, she worked on various committees, including contracts, cultural affairs, and education. She spent countless hours advising and developing budget and policy proposals with council members and numerous advocates. From serving as principal legislative financial analyst to deputy director, Regina has been instrumental in the Finance Division's growth. Through her leadership and advice, she contributed to the development of several signature proposals and initiatives, including the family leave policy for the council, the New York City Council Task Force to combat gun violence, the Young Women's Initiative, the Youth Employment Task Force report, and the Close Rikers Task Force. Regina is a visionary leader and public servant who brought so much positive change that encouraged and empowered the most vulnerable. And Regina, we thank you. And there's still time to change your mind. We have 24 years more. It's so important to recognize the dedication of our public servants who serve our city and its residents every single day. It's not easy. And as leaders, we may not always agree on policy or how to approach difficult issues that face New Yorkers. But as a council, we respect each other, no matter our background, how we identify, or where we come from. That's the only way that we will succeed as a body. Now on to our agenda. Today, we will be voting to provide advice and consent on nominees for the city's Corporation Counsel and Department of Investigations Commissioner. For Corporation Counsel, the nominee is Justice Sylvia Hines-Radix, who has served on the judiciary for a number of years in a variety of roles, most recently as Associate Justice of the State Appellate Division, 2nd Department. Corporation Counsel is the attorney and counsel for the city and all agencies, leading the law department that conducts all the legal business of the city, bringing legal action on behalf of the city or defending the city. For Department of Investigations Commissioner, the nominee is Jocelyn Strawber. She previously worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District and more recently has been a partner at the law firm Skadden Arps, Slate, Meagher, and Flom. The Council's Rules Committee held a thorough hearing last week to examine these nominees, where our chair, Majority Leader Keith Powers, Other members of the committee, including myself, questioned them to ensure we were confident in their abilities to fulfill the duties of these important roles. This morning, the committee voted to move them forward to the full council. Also out of the Rules Committee today and to be voted on are a few minor changes to committee assignments. We also have several land use items on today's agenda. Today, we will vote on a zoning change which will move sidewalk cafe rules out of the zoning resolution to eventually be replaced by local law. This is the first step in establishing a permanent outdoor dining program that balances the many considerations of neighborhoods to ensure the needs of these critical small businesses are aligned with the quality of life needs of our neighborhoods. Today's change simply removes restrictions that have limited outdoor dining opportunities in non-COVID times to mainly Manhattan, opening potential opportunity to out-of-borough neighborhoods. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, the city established a temporary open restaurants program by emergency executive order. This allowed restaurants in areas of the city that had long been restricted from such opportunities because of the zoning text to access the lifeline of outdoor dining during the pandemic, as indoor dining limitations curtailed their ability to operate. We know that this helped so many of our restaurants that are central to our small business community and stayed afloat through the devastating impacts of the pandemic, saving thousands of jobs. It also allowed so many of us to support our restaurants in a safe way. As we seek to move toward our city's recovery and establish a permanent outdoor program, we will work hard to balance the needs of restaurants and their local neighborhoods' concerns by gathering feedback from the many stakeholders in neighborhoods across the city to ensure outdoor dining is equitable, better regulated, and accounts for the many considerations in our respective communities. The work to establish a program that works for all New Yorkers will happen over the coming weeks and months. I want to thank the chairs of the committees who have been leading this effort. Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, Chair of the Land Use Committee. Councilmember Kevin Riley, Chair of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises. And Councilmember Marjorie Velasquez, Chair of the Committee on Consumer and Worker Protection. I also want to thank staff, Angelina Martinez-Rubio, Noah Mixler, and Leah Shripiak. We will also be voting on the following land use items: NYPD Bronx Special Victim Services, a site selection and acquisition of a property for a new facility which will include 20,000 feet of office space, including interview rooms, a holding cell, locker rooms, and interrogation rooms. There will also be separate entrances and waiting rooms for victims, and the facility will accommodate services for victims that the existing facility did not allow. This project is in Councilmember Pirina Sanchez's district. The Landmarks Preservation Commission designation of 200 Madison Avenue, first floor interior in Majority Leader Keith Powers' district. 749 Van Sinderen Avenue, a rezoning to allow the development of a new 9-story mixed-use commercial and residential building with 119 units, which will be affordable. The council will be modifying the MIH option to strike option 2 and add the deep affordability option in Councilmember Charles Barron's district. 99-07 Astoria Boulevard commercial overlay, which will facilitate the development of a 1-story retail building in Councilmember Francisco Moya's district. 2892 Nostrand Avenue rezoning, an application for rezoning to allow an 8-story mixed-use commercial and residential building. It will include 51 housing units. 13 units will be permanently affordable. The council will be modifying the MIH option to strike option 2 and add the deep affordability option in Councilmember Farrell Lewis's district. Finally, 2134 Coyle Street rezoning, a new 5-story mixed-use commercial and residential building. It will include 148 housing units, and the council will be modifying the MIH option to strike option 2 and add the deep affordability option in Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse's district. And now with that, I happily turn it back over to the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Speaker Adams. We'll now move into discussion of general orders. We have no one who has signed up, so we're going to move over to the report of special committees.
None.
Reports of standing committees.
Report of the Committee on Land Use, LU1 and Reso 42, NYPD, Bronx Special Victim Services.
Coupled on general orders.
LU2 and Reso 43, 200 Madison Avenue.
Coupled on general orders.
LUs 3 and 4, 749 Van Sinderen Avenue rezoning.
Approved with modifications and referred to the City Planning Commission pursuant to Section 197-D of the New York City Charter. LU7 and Reso 44, 9907 Astoria Boulevard Commercial Overlay. Coupled on general orders.
LUs 8 through 12, various applications.
Approved with modifications and referred to the City Planning Commission pursuant to Section 197-D of the New York City Charter.
Report of the Committee on Rules, Privileges, and Elections, Preconsidered Reso 26, Council Committee Changes.
Coupled on general orders.
M12 and Reso 45, approving the appointment of Judge Sylvia Hines Radix as Corporation Counsel.
Coupled on general orders.
M13 and Reso 46, approving the appointment of Jocelyn Strauber, DOI Commissioner.
Coupled on general orders.
On the general orders calendar, LU3 and Reso 47 through LU12 and Reso 53, various applications.
Coupled on general orders, and I would now ask that the clerk take a roll call vote on all of the items coupled on today's general orders calendar.
Excuse me. Abreu.
Aye on all.
Ariola.
Aye on all.
Aviles.
Aye on all.
Ayala.
Aye.
Barron.
May I be excused to explain my vote?
Permission granted, sorry.
Thank you. I want to vote aye on 749 in my district. It's one of the 100% affordability. We did a lot of work on that, and even the commercial space where commercial space will be relocated. They worked out everything with the developers, and it's 100% affordable, so I'd like to vote aye on that. I'm voting no on the NYPD facility, and I'm voting yes on the outdoor cafe legislation, or parts of the budget, or parts of the vote. I'm voting yes on Hines, and I abstain on Jocelyn. I don't know her. And I abstain on all the rest of the items on the, I want to make sure I get everything. I have my stuff written down. I abstain on all the other land use items. Thank you.
Councilmember Barron, if I may ask, on the land use items, you abstain on which land use item, please, just to clarify?
Yeah, because I was just, I abstain on all of the land use items except for 749 and except for the cafe, the outdoor cafe for the other outer boroughs. The rest, I abstain on.
Thank you.
And I abstain on, I vote yes for Radix and abstain on the other.
Okay, thank you. Botcher.
Permission to explain my vote?
Permission granted.
I want to thank Chairs Salamanca and Riley and City Council Land Use for their work on the Open Restaurants Text Amendment. I also want to thank Consumer Affairs and Worker Protection Chair Velazquez for coming down to the village this morning and doing a walkthrough with Councilmember Marte and I and some of our constituents. On our walkthrough, local residents pointed out some of the issues that the temporary outdoor dining program has presented on certain blocks. We now have the opportunity to craft a program that keeps the best parts of the temporary outdoor dining program that has added so much vibrancy to the streets of our city, while addressing the parts of the program that have been problematic. And today's vote is only the first step in that process, and I vote aye on all.
Thank you. Brannan.
Aye.
Brewer.
May I please be explained to
Permission granted.
Yeah, my vote. The Open Restaurants Text Amendment, I think Councilmember Eric Bacha said it correctly. I do want to point out to the public that it is not the final decision on this issue. And certainly I've gotten hundreds of emails from people who think it is. So I agree that there is much time to discuss, and I want to thank all the chairs because a 10-hour meeting is a long one, and it was very constructive in terms of the committees. And I think a lot of good ideas have come out of that discussion. So congratulations, and we all look forward to working on it. Second, I certainly, in terms of a member of Rules, Privileges, and Elections, I want to thank the chair and say that in my opinion, both of them are very qualified. I want to thank Jocelyn Strauber, who is up for appointment as the Commissioner of the Department of Investigation, for following up on the suggestions that the committee made in terms of her committees and appointments and that she's currently on, that she has said that she will no longer be on those committees. Thank you very much. I vote aye on all.
Brooks Powers.
Aye on all.
Kaban.
I vote aye on all except for land use item 0001, in which I abstain. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Carr.
Aye on all.
De La Rosa.
Permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
I want to thank our chairs, Salamanca, Riley, and Velasquez, for their diligent work on the hearing and the work around the Open Restaurants Text Amendment. While I understand the concerns expressed by the local community boards and our neighbors around quality of life issues that have risen because of the sidewalk cafes or the sidewalk open restaurants, those issues, most of those issues were stemming from the fact that the previous program lacked regulation and oversight for the existing structures. This is just a first step, as has already been said by the colleagues, and I believe that this is precisely why voting in favor of this amendment today, we will have the opportunity to create a program that works well for all, where we will have strict oversight to make sure that quality of life disruptions do not continue in our community. I also want to say that COVID-19 has changed the way in which the world works, as well as the use of our streets and sidewalks. And for many of the small businesses in my community, this program has been a lifeline that is much needed at this time. I vote aye on all.
Thank you. Dinowitz.
Aye on all.
Farias.
Permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
Thank you, Majority Leader. While I am voting yes on Land Use 12, I would like to express my sentiments and concerns moving forward. During the joint committee hearing with Consumer and Worker Protection and Zoning and Franchises, I raised concerns about what agencies are responsible or if they have the capacity needed to implement the permanent open restaurants program. I still believe we need to see more concrete plans from DOT and other agencies prior to this amendment's adoption and implementation. As a member of the Committee on Consumer and Worker Protection, I'll make sure that these issues are addressed and prioritized. As I stated prior, we can no longer afford to be reactive. We need to be a proactive government. While I still have these reservations, I'm voting yes today because the implementation of open restaurants during the COVID-19 pandemic has both saved and created thousands of jobs. Supporting the economic wellness of New York City's restaurants helps everyone, families, workers, small businesses, tourism industry, and so much more. Restaurants are cultural hubs and favorite places and one of the most used gathering spaces. As we begin to collectively recover from COVID-19, I think it's best we not lose something as fun and beautiful as allowing restaurants to have more outdoor spaces with less restrictions. But I believe it's necessary to properly implement this rollout, and I'll make sure to work to do so. And lastly, I'd just like to say thank you to my colleagues, Councilmember Salamanca, Riley, and Velasquez, for all their diligent work. I vote aye on all.
Feliz.
Aye on all.
Gennaro.
I vote aye on all, with the exception of land use item 12 and companion resolution 53, on which I vote no.
Thank you, Councilmember. Gutierrez.
I vote aye on all with the exception of land use item 1, which I abstain.
Thank you. Hanif. Hanks.
Aye on all.
Holden.
Aye on all, with the exception of LU 12 and accompanying Resolution 53, of which I vote no.
Hudson.
Aye on all with the exception of land use item 1, for which I abstain, and permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
The Open Restaurants Program, which was a lifeline for our city's restaurant owners, was compiled quickly and unintended consequences surfaced. We saw many New Yorkers who were happy to have the opportunity for socially distanced dining and felt a sense of normalcy for the first time in months. But we also saw many New Yorkers who understandably experienced issues of safety, hygiene, pest control, noise, and inaccessibility. The city has heard feedback and is working to provide a fair, safe path forward to ensure restaurants can offer outdoor dining while also accounting for the concerns of local residents. This zoning text just paves the way for a more equitable and safe open restaurants program, one that allows restaurants to expand capacity and offer outdoor dining citywide in all neighborhoods. It does not enact the open restaurants program, but instead removes the geographic restrictions on sidewalk cafes. Over the next few weeks, the council will consider Intro 31, which establishes the parameters for the open restaurants program. During this time, I'll be sure to listen to my constituents and work to make sure that the bill and the Department of Transportation's proposed rules, should that bill pass, meet the needs of the residents of the 35th District. Thank you.
Joseph.
Aye on all.
Kagan.
Permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
Okay, I'm planning to vote on one land use item 12, open restaurants text amendment. All 3 community boards in my district are strongly against it. Disabilities rights advocates strongly against it. And issues that were expressed during the hearings about sanitation, accessibility, obstruction of sidewalk and roads, noise pollution, lack of enforcement, etc. When all of these concerns will be addressed in a new legislation that I'm expecting, then I will consider voting yes. But for now, I have huge skepticism about this program, and I'm a big supporter of restaurants, and I'm voting no on this issue, on this topic, but I'm voting yes on everything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Krishnan.
Aye on all, except abstaining on land use 0001.
Thank you. Lee.
Permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
I will plan to vote aye on all, but just wanted to express some of the same concerns on land use item 12 with the open restaurants text amendment, and just to express the same concerns that others have, especially our community boards in my district have brought up a lot of issues with just sanitation, quality of life, and so just looking forward to working with local communities, local voices to make sure that we're having the best outcomes for both restaurants, businesses, small businesses, as well as those that live in the area. Thank you. Aye on all.
Thank you. Marte.
Permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
I want to thank Chair Riley and Velasquez and Salamanca for being really open about what's coming next. This morning, Councilmember Velasquez toured part of my district and part of Councilmember Botcher, where we saw 5 feet tall piles of trash, dead rats, abandoned and broken sheds, cars and bikes not being able to go down the street, and puddles of sludge. We think it's sludge, it might be worse. What we've seen these past 2 years is that the temporary program has not worked. There's been almost no enforcement or oversight, and so tension has risen between residents and small business owners. I appreciate my colleagues' commitment to understanding the concerns of both sides and hope we can all work together to make sure the legislation that passed does not take a one-size-fits-all approach. I especially want to shout out and thank my fellow council member Botcher for really being a partner in making sure that residents of Lower Manhattan are heard and we can improve their quality of life. I vote aye on all. Thank you.
Mealy.
May I explain my vote?
Permission granted.
I vote aye on all, and I just hope that we could really look at this amendment, text amendment. On my way coming here, I just saw one of the outdoor restaurants. They have clothes for sale, and that's parking. We're not thinking about the people who are practically sleeping in their cars because there's no parking. So I thought DOT was going to really address that to a point where I put in some legislation that maybe we could start having the drugstores to maybe with a small fee that people can use parking. We really do not have a lot of parking right now, and I just hope this legislation go much further with the sanitation, the rodents. So I will be voting no on this, and I would love to see how, and I would stay on this myself, because my district don't want it, but I know it's a necessity to our community, because we do need the jobs, and it did help a lot of restaurants, but I really feel we have to look much deeper than just approving this, because these bills was in place so long, and it made sure that people didn't take advantage of the outdoor. So now, with these structures staying there, why not let it be on the sidewalk and not in the streets? And I vote no on LU 12. Thank you.
Thank you. Menon.
Aye on all.
Moya.
I vote aye on all.
Narcisse.
Can I have permission to explain my vote?
Permission granted.
I'm having a tough time because as a business person, I understand business and the needs for small business to thrive. The open restaurant did indeed save jobs and provide lifeline to struggle restaurants during the pandemic. However, I have deep concerns that there is no guaranteed or budget. I haven't seen any budget to increase for DOT or sanitation to implement and manage the sidewalk cafe, road cafe. It is hard for me today, from my perspective, and knowing the support that the business need in our community, but both of my boards, 15 and 18, strictly say no. So I'm gonna say aye on all others except LU 12. It's sad in my heart to do that, but this bill needs to be reviewed, and we need to do the right thing, and I'm looking to strike a balance. Thank you.
Nurse.
No on LU1 and aye on the rest.
Thank you. Osei.
Permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
I support land use item 12. This program, born of pandemic necessity, has been a gift to our city in many ways. It was an economic lifeline and still is to many of our small businesses, and it has now fundamentally changed how many dining establishments operate and how New Yorkers utilize their public spaces. However, this program needs to ensure that our streets are for the people and not the rats. The rodent population growth has been undeniable and is clearly linked to outdoor dining, which we instituted more quickly than we could devise proper methods for sanitation. I support outdoor dining, but we need to ensure that we do it right and ensure the public health and cleanliness of our streets so that we can refuse seeing more sludge like in my colleague's district. Thank you. And I vote aye on all except land use item 1, in which I abstain. Thanks.
Palladino.
Aye on all.
Wrestler.
Permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
The open restaurant program has been one of the silver linings of this pandemic, and we've not only supported thousands of restaurants, but many tens of thousands of workers who would have otherwise been in an impossible situation in these last couple of years. This is a prime example of creative government in action, and I'm deeply appreciative of all of the workers in city government who put together this program on the fly. There is no doubt that there are opportunities for improvement in the program management. I share my colleague's concerns that DOT is not the right agency to ultimately manage this program, but the leadership that Chairs Velasquez and Riley and Salamanca have demonstrated already gives me confidence that we as a council will devise the right protocols to make open restaurants even better. And so I enthusiastically vote aye and vote aye on all. Thank you.
Thank you. Richardson Jordan.
I vote no on the NYPD facility land use item 1, aye on all others, and permission to explain my vote.
Permission granted.
I reject the inherent classism in the arguments that restaurants should be prevented from operating outdoor dining structures because a few elite members of the community find them to be eyesores. These structures allow us to support our restaurants and small businesses while still remaining cognizant of the lingering health and social distancing needs from the ongoing pandemic. With regards to sanitation, we should fight to restore the sanitation budget so we could feed the people and not the rats. Outdoor dining structures are a testament to the creativity, perseverance, and ingenuity of New Yorkers, and I am proud to place my vote in favor of the bill.
Thank you. Riley.
I don't know.
Rivera.
I vote aye.
Salamanca.
Aye on all.
Sanchez.
Aye on all.
Schulman.
Aye on all.
Stevens.
Aye on all.
Ong.
Aye on all.
Velasquez.
Permission to explain my vote?
Permission granted.
On land use item number 12, I want to thank my colleagues, first of all, Chair Salamanca, Chair Riley, thank you guys for making it Bronx strong. Open dining is coming from the Bronx, and when we're talking about the Bronx, we're talking about an outer borough that has been neglected historically. When we're talking about what it meant for our community, it meant going from about 30 to 650 licenses. It meant that finally the Bronx could actually have the same experience as Manhattanites. As we're looking forward, we are meeting with different members and their communities to make sure that everyone's heard. And coming from the Bronx, I can take tough conversations, right? And coming from New Yorkers, we can do the tough thing to make sure that we make it right. We're not seeking perfection, we're seeking partnership and participation. So what we're asking folks, give us your ideas, give us your voices, make sure that everyone's heard. Look, that's what they voted us to do, and that's what we're doing. And we're gonna make sure that we're holding the agencies accountable, that when we sit with them, that we know that they have to be accountable. That when we're talking for New Yorkers, we're making sure that we're looking for the diversity in our communities and that our businesses are approached in such a way, that our languages are being spoken and heard. And ultimately, this is the first step, and I appreciate all the support. And if anyone has a question, our doors are always open. And I appreciate all the criticisms. We need them. We need to work together, and I appreciate working with you all. So I vote aye on all.
Thank you. Vernikov.
I share my colleagues' concerns about land use item 12, and so I vote aye on all except land use item 12 and the accompanying resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Williams.
Aye on all.
Thank you, Councilmember. Juan.
I abstain from land use item 001, and I vote aye on the rest.
Yeager.
Mr. President, may I be excused to explain my vote?
You are Permission granted.
Thank you very much. So much has been said about this being a first step, and that's true. It's not just the first step, and it's not just the cart before the horse, but it's the cart before the horse is even born. The bill that we heard about 2 weeks ago is the first conversation in this session of the council about regulating this program. And to be clear, when Open Restaurants was created, it was created at a time when restaurants were closed. They had no alternative. It was either shut the doors, lock them up, or give them a chance to do some commerce in the city. What was the chance to do commerce? Give them a chance to be outside. And that was done, and yes, it's true. I've heard it described as a lifeline, as a silver lining, as a great success. All those things are true. But that emergency time has passed. And what we're considering today is not about an emergency. What we're considering today is about the very future of the neighborhoods that we represent. My job is to protect my neighborhood. I'm not going to tell anybody else what their job is, but that's my job. And in my neighborhood, these have taken over the streets in a very poor way. Now, I know that there are other council members who share those concerns, because we heard on this floor today, we heard at the 10-hour hearing chaired by my colleague, Councilmember Velasquez, council member after council member after council member, district manager after district manager after district manager, neighbor after neighbor after neighbor coming and saying, these things are horrors in our neighborhood, what are you doing? And so this will pass today, because that's the way things happen. But I'm going to be voting no on LU 12 and Resolution 53. And what I'll say in the final few seconds is that the draft bill that we have that's being heard, that's currently the draft, it hasn't been adopted, but it's a bill pending here in this council, will put the enforcement of this program in the hands of the DOT. The DOT that can't get a speed bump put in your neighborhood on any block you want in under 3 years. That's the bill. DOT, that's what we're trusting today. We're voting yes on this to give this over to DOT. That's what we're hearing. There's nothing more. So I vote aye on the remainder of the items on the agenda, and I've already stated my no vote, clerk? Okay, LU 12 and Resolution 53. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Hanif. Councilmember Borelli.
Hi, permission to vote on all land use items as well, as general order?
Permission granted.
Thank you. I vote aye on all.
Thank you. We're also going to need to know where you are calling in from, Mr. Borelli. We'll let him answer that one on his own. I did. Happy St. Patty's Day early, Mr. Borelli.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader.
Councilmember Aviles.
I would like to change or alter my vote. I would like to abstain from LU1, and the rest I vote aye.
Thank you. Powers.
I vote aye.
Speaker Adams.
I vote aye.
We're just going to hold a minute while the votes are tallied. All items on today's general order calendar are adopted by a vote of 50 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, with the exception of Land Use Item 1 and Resolution 42, which was adopted by a vote of 40 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative, and 7 abstentions. Land Use Item 2 and Resolution 43, which was adopted by a vote of 49 in the affirmative, 0 negative, and 1 abstention. Land Use 7 and Resolution 44, which was adopted by a vote of 49 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 abstention. And Land Use Item 8 and Resolution 49, which is adopted by a vote of 49 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 abstention. Land Use 9 and Resolution 50, which is adopted by a vote of 49 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 abstention. Is that everything? And Land Use Item 10 and Resolution 51, which is adopted by a vote of 49 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 abstention. Land Use Item 11 and Resolution 52, which is adopted by a vote of 49 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 abstention. And Pre-Considered Resolution 26, which is adopted by a vote of 49 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 abstention. You guys are making me work today. All right. Well, and we have to do one more. I gotta keep going. Item M13 and Resolution 46, which is adopted by a vote of 49 in the negative, 49 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 abstention. Land Use Item 12, which is adopted by a vote of 43 in the affirmative, 7 in the negative, and 0 abstentions. And the revised Land Use Co-op's vote is 49 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Meeting will stand at ease.
What now?
Councilmember Narcisse.
I just want to clarify. My community board say no both 18 and 15. For me, I abstain.
Councilmember, you're abstaining on land use item?
LU 12.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So it's a restaurant, all restaurants, it's all about restaurants. They're driving us crazy. Oh. Whoops.
Okay, updated vote on land use item 12 and resolution 53. That is adopted by a vote of 43 in the affirmative, 6 in the negative, and 1 abstention. We will now move to the introduction and reading of bills.
All bills have been referred to committees as indicated on today's agenda.
Thank you. There are no resolutions on today's calendar, so we'll now move into general discussion. We'll move in the order that people signed up. We will start with Councilmember Vernikov, and then followed by Councilmember Narcisse.
Thank you, Majority Leader Powers. Last night, Russia waged war on the people of Ukraine, the country where I was born and raised. Although America is my home, I cannot remain silent.
Councilmember, I have to interrupt you. Can you please put your mask on?
I apologize.
Thank you.
Although America is my home, I cannot remain silent while a power-hungry tyrant, President Putin, launches senseless, deadly attacks which have already taken and will continue to take the lives of innocent men, women, and children. In 2014, the world watched in horror as Crimea became the hub for multiple human rights abuses, including torture, arbitrary detention, forced disappearances, persecution, and discrimination. Acting in complete and utter disregard for human suffering, Putin manufactured a crisis and is ready to spill the blood of both Russians and Ukrainians, and so many will senselessly die in this unnecessary conflict. As we sit here right now, ballistic missiles are flying over the country. Ukrainian troops have been taken as prisoners. Ukrainian military planes are being shot down, and many have already been pronounced dead. Ukrainian airspace has been shut. People are running for shelter. New York City is home to more than 150,000 Ukrainians, the largest such community in the country, with some residing in Councilmember Rivera's district in East Village and some in my district in southern Brooklyn. As a child of Jewish refugees, I also cannot fail to mention that Ukraine has a complicated history with its Jews. Pogroms and anti-Jewish massacres in the 1940s led to the rape and murder of thousands of Jews, including one of the worst atrocities which took place just outside of Kiev in Babi Yar, where close to 34,000 Jews were rounded up and shot point blank. However, Ukraine has gone a long way since the 1940s. Today, it is a sovereign democracy that strives for freedom, independence, territorial integrity, and economic prosperity. Its government has criminalized anti-Semitism and racism, and its people seek to live in peace, guided by democratic principles and Western ideals. They do not want this war. As a Ukrainian-born American Jew, I strongly condemn Russia's unprovoked act of aggression against the people of Ukraine. Putin's disregard for human life, and I stand with the people of Ukraine, as well as with my constituents who still have family, friends, and ties to their homelands. My office stands ready to assist in any way we can, and I thank my colleagues for the tremendous outpouring of support. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilmember Narcisse, followed by Councilmember Kagan.
For my resolution that I introduced, and my colleague Tiffany Cobbin, that when I called, that supported this, because we cannot go on without realizing what's going on in our communities, and not only the city, throughout the state. Less than 3% of all crime victims in New York receive any victim compensation. It is our duty as elected officials serving these vulnerable citizens to remove any barriers impeding their access to relief. We must support all crime victims by guiding them, not impeding them on the road, not impeding them on the road to healing, which is why I have, myself, talked to my colleague, Tiffany Cobbin, to introduce the resolution calling upon the New York State Legislature to pass it and the governor to sign A619A S7573, which will expand eligibility for victims and survivors of crime to access victim compensation funds. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll have Councilmember Kagan, followed by Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. I would like to strongly condemn the aggression I would like to strongly condemn the aggression by Russian Federation against independent, democratic, freedom-loving Ukraine. I stand in solidarity with Ukraine and with all immigrants from Ukraine, all immigrants from the former Soviet Union, and with all decent people of the world that condemn this aggression. And I strongly oppose imperialist aggression of Russian Federation. And this is not just against Ukraine. This is, again, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom to choose your own destiny. It's aggression against neighboring, peaceful, beautiful country. Right now, bombs are going on cities in Ukraine all over the places. And I would like to thank each one of you, everybody who called me and who supports beautiful community and beautiful country. Thank you so much, and God bless America.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilmember Rivera, followed by Councilmember Menon.
Thank you so much. Today I'm introducing my bill to establish the Office of the Patient Advocate. As the home to the country's largest public hospital system and hundreds of clinics, psychiatric facilities, residential healthcare facilities, and so many more, New York City needs accountability and transparency in this difficult-to-navigate industry. From the discrimination and implicit bias that arise when vulnerable populations attempt to access the healthcare system, to challenges patients face in receiving timely care, to a lack of culturally competent information about billing and insurance, there is an undeniable need for patients to not just feel as though they have an ally and support system in government, but to know there is an entity capable of advocating for better care within the New York City healthcare system. I had the profound honor of serving as chair of the Committee on Hospitals during the first 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic in New York City, and through the early days gauging hospital preparedness before our first positive case to conducting oversight testing and equitable vaccine distribution. I work closely with Health and Hospitals, the Greater New York Hospital Association, healthcare advocates, patients, families, and everyday New Yorkers as they express their concerns and share challenges they face in overcoming the systemic inequities in our healthcare system. So this bill, my colleagues, I urge you to sign on. We have the history's most diverse New York City Council. If we can sign on to this to help our families overcome these challenges, we can ensure an equitable healthcare experience for all New Yorkers. And let me just take the last 30 seconds to echo my colleagues' words and share solidarity with the people of Ukraine. I have the distinct honor of representing Little Ukraine, a vibrant and resilient community with generations of history in East Village. Ukraine is a beautiful nation deserving of sustained independence and peace. There is no room for anything but unequivocal condemnation of this senseless violence, and I keep all who are impacted in my prayers. Glory to Ukraine.
Thank you. We're going to now hear from Councilmember Menon, followed by Councilmember Olsen.
Thank you. So the bill that I'm introducing today requires 311 to track and compile complaints regarding COVID testing sites. There are numerous pop-up COVID testing sites that falsely advertise next-day results. Unfortunately, these false and misleading promises leave people waiting oftentimes for weeks for their results and leading to people infecting vulnerable family members. Some people never get results. Some people get incorrect results. And we have all had constituents contact our respective offices concerning the validity of a testing site that didn't return results or ask too much personal information like Social Security information such that people might think that it's a false testing scam. Currently, when New Yorkers call 311, the city does not take the complaint. The city is literally not tracking and maintaining 311 complaints for COVID testing sites at all. Today's legislation, Intro 55, requires the Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications to create and track COVID testing site complaints on the 311 website and mobile app. DoIT would also be required to maintain a public website that updates daily on the number and nature of the complaints received for each testing site, the agency each complaint was referred to, and the disposition of each complaint, so that we can properly and finally bring accountability and transparency to these COVID testing sites. I respectfully urge my colleagues to sign on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to hear now from Councilmember Osei, followed by Councilmember Marte.
Thank you, Majority Leader. In recent years, drug usage and overdose deaths have been on the rise. Thanks to a whole host of factors, many stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic, we have an undeniable crisis on our hands. The opioid crisis is here in New York City. Any action that mitigates a rolling tragedy is one we should be quick to take. Whether this bill gets passed or not, excuse my language, Madam Speaker, I'm so frickin' excited to introduce my first bill. Today, myself and Councilmember Powers are proud to introduce Intro 56, a piece of life-saving legislation. The bill would require the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to create the Nightlife Opioid Antagonist Program to help prevent opioid overdose in nightlife establishments. It would allow nightlife establishments to request and maintain a stockpile of overdose prevention kits, as well as receive training from the city in using the kits. This is a public health bill that will have an outsized positive impact on old New Yorkers. It will relieve those in the nightlife industry of an undue burden. It will make our streets and small businesses safer, and providing life-saving instruments to establishments who will need them free of charge will ensure that a New Yorker wakes up tomorrow who would not otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, and you're allowed to be excited about your first bill. Congratulations, it's a good one. And I'm happy to co-sponsor with you. We're gonna now hear from Councilmember Marte and then Councilmember Hudson.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to try something a little bit different today. I don't know if you can hear this. Happy Dominican Heritage Month. That's from a famous Dominican singer, Juan Luis Guerra, who is internationally known. And this is a great pride for many Dominicans in the home country and here in New York City, where we have one of the largest population from the diaspora. And I would like to thank all my colleagues, right? This is the largest council body with Dominicans, ranging from the Bronx to Uptown and now in Lower Manhattan. We have reached almost all levels of government, from community boards to borough president like Antonio Reynoso, and to Washington, D.C. like Adriano Espaillat as the Congress member. We have become business leaders and not just baseball players. We've become leaders not only in culture and arts, but we really put our stamp on where we go and anything we come across. And so I am happy, and I'm sure all my other fellow Dominican colleagues are happy to celebrate our Independence Day this Sunday. And I would like to thank Councilmember De La Rosa for holding an event. If you can, stop by. If not, just go home and listen to Juan Luis Guerra or Aventura or any other Dominican band, and have some mango, plátano salami, and enjoy the day, because there's a moment to celebrate, especially when we hear so much darkness in the world. Thank you.
Well said. Councilmember Hudson, followed by Councilmember Dinowitz.
Today I'm introducing my first piece of legislation as a new member of the City Council, a resolution calling on the state legislature to pass and the governor to sign the Fair Pay for Home Care Act, resolution number 0024-2022. Our state's 400,000 home health care workers, the overwhelming majority of whom are women, people of color, and immigrants, are among our most marginalized and economically vulnerable New Yorkers. More than half of home care workers rely on public assistance, and 1 in 4 live below the federal poverty line. Given the meager wages and poor working conditions, it's no wonder our state currently has the worst home care staffing shortage in the nation. Without home care workers, older adults cannot get the care they need, resulting in hospitalizations or forcing them to enter an older adult enter an older adult center rather than aging at home. Now, as our state's population of older adults is expected to grow faster than the general population, we'll need to fill more than 700,000 home care jobs in the next few years to ensure older adults who want to age at home can do so safely and with dignity. The Fair Pay for Home Care Act, introduced in the state legislature by State Senator Rachel May and Assemblymember Dick Gottfried, would require home care workers to be paid a minimum of 150% of the regional minimum wage. It would help raise tens of thousands of home care workers out of poverty and chip away at the persistent gender wage gap by raising the incomes of hundreds of thousands of women. This bill will help attract more home care workers and boost our state's economy by reducing public assistance roles and allowing family members to return to work who would otherwise need to stay out of the workforce to care for a loved one. New York owes it to the older adults who have made our communities what they are today to ensure they have the ability to age in place. And we owe it to the home care workers to finally listen to them, treat them with respect, and pay them the fair wages they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. We're going to now go to Councilmember Dinowitz, followed by Councilmember Barron.
Thank you, Majority Leader. If any of you were like me on Election Day, June 22nd of last year, you were outside campaigning for yourself and maybe some other people, and people in my district, they came excited. They knew exactly who they were going to vote for all the municipal offices. When it came time for judges, they had no clue. They had no clue they were even on the ballot, because those offices are not required to be in the voter guide. If you were in Manhattan, you had a district attorney's race, those candidates were not required to be in the voter guide because the CFB, the Campaign Finance Board, does not have to. What they're required to do is put in municipal offices. But judges, district attorneys have such an impact on our daily lives and the lives of our neighbors. So I'm introducing Introduction 48, which would require the CFB to put information about candidates for non-municipal offices in the voter guide. We need to make sure that we have an informed electorate, and this is one piece of that puzzle, to make sure that our neighbors and our voters have as much information about the candidates they see on the ballot as possible. I'm also introducing Resolution 21, which affirms our commitment to our Purple Heart veterans and calls on the state to pass legislation and for the governor to sign legislation recognizing New York State as a Purple Heart state. And lastly, today's a very important day, and I want to say this for the record. Today is my twin boys' birthday. So I want to say publicly happy birthday to my boys on this very special day. Thank you.
Happy birthday. We're gonna.
Thank you.
If they're watching, I don't know if they're watching.
All they do is watch this and also C-SPAN.
All right. We're going to talk about your television choices. We're going to now go to Councilmember Barron, followed by Councilmember Gennaro.
Thank you very much. To my colleagues, we are entering in the phase of the budget. The most important responsibility that we will have is the budget. $100 billion is allocated for a 5-year capital budget. That's about $20 billion a year, and a $98.7 billion expense budget, nearly another $100 billion. I want to urge you not to be reduced to petty conversations and debates around a minuscule part of the budget, and that is what will the Speaker's discretionary budget give us in our delegations. And that is, what will the council projects, how much will that be? 700,000, $1 billion? We're talking about $100 billion. Never in the history of me being in this body for over nearly 20 years in the state and the city council have I ever seen an executive come before you, as the mayor did, and not give you a budget document at all. Just verbally talk, and then didn't even put it up on the screen, which he did later with the media. Rise to the occasion. The Speaker has one vote on the budget, and the mayor has none. We are the power to represent the interest of the people and not the interest of just what you get for your district or what you get because of you working closely with the Speaker or the mayor. Come on, y'all, we got to stand up. Now's the time. Every one of our communities should benefit from a $100 billion capital budget.
Thank you, Councilmember Barron. We'll now hear from Councilmember Gennaro, followed by Councilmember Brooks Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. I wish to be associated with the good remarks of Speaker Adams and Council Members Vernikov, Kagan, and Rivera regarding the war on Ukraine, and I stand in solidarity with the people of Ukraine, and I wish to lend my support, and I hope everyone will support Councilmember Hudson's resolution on fair pay for home care workers. My wife, during her 8 years of, my late wife, during her 8 years of terminal illness, we had home health aides in the house all the time, and it was difficult to see the wages that they had to live on. And it's truly a shame, and I applaud Councilmember Hudson and the people in the state legislature who are trying to move this forward. Thank you, Mr. Leader.
Thank you. And to close us out, Councilmember Brooks Powers.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the loss to my community with that of the passing of firefighter Jesse Gerhard. Last year, I had the opportunity to visit what we call the Big House in Far Rockaway, where Ladder 134 is located, and I had the opportunity to meet firefighter Gerhard. And I remember spending a lot of time there. The firefighters there are amazing. They really are invested in our community and care about the work that they do. And at his service yesterday, it was refreshing to hear that his life was one well spent, one that was living his dream out loud. He wanted to be a firefighter since he was a child, and he knew what he wanted to do. And he served the Far Rockaway community for several years, and he served it with the passion and joy of his heart. And my deepest condolences remain with his family, his mom, his dad, his brother, who was very devastated, his sister-in-law, as well as his extended family. And I just ask everyone to continue to keep our first responders in our thoughts and prayers, because they sacrifice their life every day that they walk out that door, and some of them never to return back home to their family. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And we have one more, Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. I would also like to speak in about my first bill that I'm introducing, and I'm also so excited to be doing. So I will be introducing today Intro 70. I'm introducing Intro 70 today, which is to extend New York City's rent stabilization law of 1969. For everyone's awareness, it does expire on April 1st, so all of us who live in rent-stabilized housing would actually not have the protections. And so we are extending the legislation, we're extending that deadline until July 1st in order to provide the City of New York with enough time to complete the Housing and Vacancy Survey. The HVS, the Housing Vacancy Survey, is the survey that actually qualifies the City of New York to continue if we have the findings, to continue the state of housing emergency, which is what allows us to have rent stabilization in the City of New York. So it's an important piece of legislation, and I look forward to colleagues supporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sanchez. And on behalf of my constituents, I appreciate that bill, and myself, I should say. And I'll call on Speaker Adrian Adams to close today's State of Meeting.
Well, before I close the meeting, I just want to say I am so encouraged by this body today. In the midst of such turmoil across the world, I'm encouraged by your enthusiasm. I'm encouraged by your brilliance. I'm encouraged for those new bills. I didn't hear not a bad one in the bunch. So I'm encouraged by you, colleagues, and I just wanted to close this meeting by saying that to you. I'm very, very proud of this body. Let's go forward and let's make all New Yorkers proud of our service to them. That said, the stated meeting of February 24th, 2022 is hereby adjourned.